Today I want to show you guys how to build a solar powered security camera system and what battery should you use. Well, I was using these lead acid batteries. This one worked great. This is a 20 amp hour expert power. I was using a camera, the Nest IQ outdoor camera. It's a $400 camera. Wasn't really impressed with it, but this battery seemed like it worked great. We had a couple cloudy days and it seemed like it held up, and once I got rid of that Nest IQ outdoor camera and replaced it with a couple different Hikvision 8 megapixel cameras, those pulled a lot more power, and also I was going over power over Ethernet and drawing off these batteries. This battery just died immediately. Then I'm like, let me get a bigger battery. So I got this 33 amp hour battery. And this didn't last very long either. These cameras must pull a lot more than I thought, and I'm going to do a test on how much power these cameras are actually pulling. But I was able to pick up this Valence battery, this lithium iron phosphate battery, these Life batteries, and I'm going to test this one out and see how well it does. It's basically the same size as this lead acid battery. This is a 33 amp hour, this is 40 amp hour. They're basically the same size. This one weighs a lot less, but let's get this charged up. I'm going to use an iCharger on this. It supports Life batteries. It's telling me it's at 13.371 volts. It's not bad. The light's blinking. Let me get you over to the battery to see it. There's a green light on top of it that's blinking. There you go. And let's charge this thing up here. So I'm going to start it. Let's see how it does here. And because these are, these cells inside, you can top them off at 3.65 volts. It's giving me a warning there because it's not really, this charger's not really configured to do that. It wants to be at 3.3, but you can top them off at 3.65. And this Valence battery does have a built-in BMS inside of it. For those of you who don't know, BMS is a battery management system. And most lithium batteries need that in order to balance out all the cells. But the built-in BMS here should protect this battery from either overcharging, over-discharging, etc. So I set it to charge at 3.65 volts, and it should top off at 3.65, in a 4S configuration is like 14.6 volts, and it should be safe to take the battery to that. So it's telling us that we're at 20 amps right now, and it's what it's putting into the battery, how many milliamps it's putting into the battery. Well, the iCharger is so smart. It'll start reducing the amperage that it's putting into the battery, because I have it set for 20 amps, and it's going to reduce the amperage that it's actually charging the battery at, and reduce it all the way down, so it slowly trickle charges it to 14.6, and then this thing will beep when it's pretty much completed and let me know that it's done, that the battery is at 14.6 volts. But of course the internal BMS is actually managing this whole thing as well. If you're building your own battery system and had your own, BMS attached to it, you can add these balance cables that you see here. I have a whole bunch of these balance cables, and I can link these in the bottom of the description on where I get all this stuff. And my portable charger here. This portable charger is awesome. Alright, so it looks like it's done. That's what it looks like when it's done. It beeps at you, tells you the voltage, starts kind of balancing out a little bit. It looks like we put 1.4 amp hours back into the battery. I charged this thing up yesterday. I ended up putting about 15 to 20 amp hours back into the battery. Alright, I'm going to do a capacity test on this Valence battery that we just fully charged up. To do that, the discharge rate is 0.2 C, which on a 40 amp hour battery would be 8 amps. So I need to hook up some stuff here to this power supply or this inverter in order to get this battery up to 8 amps. So let's start doing that right now. All right, 8 amps. We're exactly 8 amps. Can you guys see that? We are back. Last time I left you guys, I was discharging this battery at 8 amps. Well, I kind of made a little mistake here, and I was like, why did this thing only go an hour and 50 minutes? Because I had it set at 8 amps. Well, I had this display set wrong, and it was supposed to be set at, I have a 300 amp shunt here, not a 100 amp shunt. Well, I had the display set to 100 amps. So I ended up, the battery completely discharged for an hour and 51 minutes. It says 13.5 amp hours, 169 watt hours, but this is only set to 100 amps, and I have a 300 amp shunt. So if you times that by 3, it's almost 40 amp hours I discharged the battery. Just recharged the battery back up. I put almost 41.5 amp hours back into this battery after I discharged it. That's incredible. This battery is amazing. As a used battery, I got it for 160 bucks off of OfferUp, and if that's true, I'm going to set this. I got it now set to 300 amps for the shunt, and I'm just going to kind of put, you know, my devices or the heat gun and everything else back at what I had it for when it was set to 100 amp, and I bet I was pulling 24 amps instead of 8 amps. Man, so that's probably why it discharged in like an hour and 50 minutes. So I'm going to hook this back up. I'm going to see if how many amps it's actually going to see if this display is actually right. Yeah, guys, so I hooked this back up, and I put it at exactly the same setting I was at. I have the settings correct now. I was discharging at almost 24 amps. So basically I was discharging at 0.6C instead of 0.2C. And after an hour and 50 minutes, the battery finally discharged, or somewhere around there, an hour and 50 minutes. That's incredible. I put 41.5 amp hours back into the battery on a charge, on a used battery. That's crazy. That's over 100%. These balance batteries are incredible. What do I have in it right now? I just charged it. It just pulled off, yeah, I just showed you guys a 24 amp example, and you know, it's at, what's it at right now? 13.5 volts is what the battery's at right now. After just running that quick little test, after just taking it off the charger, after putting 41.5 amp hours back into the battery. And when this battery is completely discharged, I mean, the BMS on this thing shut off the battery. It looks like it's down to like 10.1 volts when it totally shut off. And I tried to power it up. I didn't know what was wrong, and I tried to charge it a little bit more, and then it shut off after like 30 seconds. But it was at like 10.1 volts, and the shut off on this is 10 volts. For the battery protection, it shuts off at 10 volts. So yeah, guys, these balance batteries are for real for a solar system. And okay, so we are outside here looking at the box where my solar panel for the security cameras are going to go. The solar panel's on a roof. It's a flexible panel. I don't know if you can see that up there. Basically, it's a 100-watt flexible solar panel made by Grape Solar. I got it 5-6 years ago, and I use it for camping only. Yeah, I know the pros and cons of the flexible solar panels, this and that, but this was just sitting in my garage, so I decided why not use it, try and give it power to the cameras, the power to you know, power this lithium battery that I just got right now. Cameras are up there. Junction box, that's where the PoE switch is. That's what it looks like. And let me open up the box for you so you can see inside of it. Now here's where everything comes into the box here for the solar controller, and where the battery's going to go for all the solar cameras. Alright, as we look in the box here, you'll see the components for the system. The MPPT charge controller, which is a 20 amp made by EP Solar. You also see rebranded ones out there by Renogy and some of those other makers out there. They're discontinued now. They have a newer version, but I love this version because it's all metal. You know, looks really good, and not only that, it's small. It's a small charge controller that fits within this box, and that's what we were looking for. Injector gets its internet connection from a little mini TP-Link travel router that connects Wi-Fi to the router, and then that's set up in AP mode. And these are the wires coming from the solar panel. They're hot right now, so I don't want to touch those together. And then what I got going on is I just got a little 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter that hooks off the battery that powers the TP-Link router. So let's get everything together here. I'll show you how it all works together how the signal flows, how it goes up to the box, up into the splitter up at top underneath the eave, and we'll go from there. All right, I got the battery hooked up. I'm just doing a test on how much power this system is actually drawing with the cameras, and it looks like that's hard to see right there. 1.25 amps, 16.6 watts. Yeah. So not drawing very much. So 1.25 amps and 16.5 watts is what the system is pulling off the battery right now. All right, we basically got everything hooked up in there. The battery's in there. It's at 13.6 volts. The solar charger controller is in operation. It's like 5 p.m. West Coast time right now, and it's pulling about 16 volts, only about 1 amp right now. So the two green lights, the one on the left is the solar panels saying it's got sun. The one in the middle is the battery saying it's all good. And let's let this thing run all night, see how it comes in the morning or tomorrow. We'll check it out, we'll measure it, and we'll give our final thoughts. All right, to wrap things up here, let me know what you guys think about this whole system. And if you want to see more of these videos, give me some comments below. Let me know if I made a mistake, if there's anything wrong, if you have questions. You know, just to wrap up this system, pretty impressed with the system all around. 100 watt solar panel was able to power both of these security cameras all night, you know, even on cloudy days. And you know, these lithium batteries are way better, you know, way more powerful. The discharge rate's way lower. Overall, extremely impressed, especially with that Valence battery, you know, and how low you can discharge it and bring it right back up again, and the number of cycles you can get out of that compared to a lead acid. But anyway, I'll put all the items that I use in this project below, and let me know your thoughts. All right, till next time, I'll see you guys later.